Welcome to the Deep Blue Podcast, episode 5, and the end of season 1 of our podcasts. As you know, the purpose of these podcasts are really to inspire future generations of talent and allow you to hear from people who have been successful within business. But for this episode, we've actually flipped this one on its head a little bit. So we're really conscious that we've done 4 podcasts to date with 4 guests, all from different lines of businesses. But we haven't actually given you any insight into us as a company, as business owners, and on our journey for the first 6 months. So we wanted to share some of our insights with you, some of our findings, and really introduce both of ourselves a little bit more so you can get to know the founders and know who we are. So welcome. And your special guest today is Andrew Mackintosh.
Or we're both the guests.
We're both the guests, yeah. We'll take that. We finally managed to get Andrew behind the camera, so that's always a win.
Well, I was on episode 1, and then that was enough.
Yeah, we sort of edited you out indeed. So
for the best.
Yeah, so Andrew's edited back in today. So yeah, do you want to kick off actually, Andrew? So do you want to do a quick intro and then we can go into sort of how we found the last 6 months?
Sure. So I'm Andrew Mackintosh. Have been with Cobalt now for 6 months. Both me and Sanj set up Cobalt. But before that, I spent probably the last 20 years in various parts of retail. Started after university in a kitchen manufacturer magnet. Worked there for a few years. Really landed in supply chain. Then we had a contract with Homebase. Ended up working with Homebase in Milton Keynes. In the kitchen team and then garden, and that was a real sort of, I guess, first introduction to sort of corporate lifestyle. I had a couple of years at Tesco after that, and then really spent most of my career, like half of that 20 years at Amazon. Joined in Slough. Wasn't in Slough for very long. I wouldn't recommend Slough, sorry. Then Holborn, then Shoreditch. Started in the consumer electronics in-stock team. Did various in-stock roles for the next 5 years. Really enjoyed it. And then for the last 5 years, led the corporate business in Ireland, which was really cool. Like general manager type role.
Yeah.
Launching fulfillment centers. First peak was spent basically delivering customer packages because we were in such a mess. So like really scrappy start, but now is grown into this thing which is, its own website and team and all the rest of it. So like that's very cool to see. And then we started Cobalt, and that's been cool as well.
Yeah, and some big names in there when you look back at your career sort of so far today, like the types of companies you work for.
And I felt like a lot of it happened by accident more than by design. So. But yeah, I just always have liked learning stuff and working with interesting people and all of that kind of stuff. And I've been lucky enough to do that so far. So that's been really cool. But yeah, I don't like talking about myself. So why don't you do your intro now?
I was just seeing how long I could get you going on that. So, but yeah, no, that's, good intro. I like it. And then from my side, so really sort of fell into sales, I would say. I'd say my first proper sales role after university was at IBM, and that was a real baptism of fire. So huge enterprise organization, complex ways of working, so many employees you've got to try and collaborate with to try and get your deals done. Right. And this is the world of sales. This is how like true sort of business sales are done. And I'd had sort of limited exposure to that type of selling before. So that was great in terms of learning processes and formats and ways to sell, and the amount they invested in you as a person, amazing. And I think from that point onwards, I sort of realized that I like being out with people. I like being in front of people and providing solutions and understanding, well, what are the problems and how do we solve them? And do we have something that can help? And then naturally, as any salesperson will say, there's opportunity to make money there. And that is part of a sales role from my perspective. It is, you are in sales, not just for the fun of it, but yes, it is enjoyable, but typically you're there to make money and make commission and so on. So that was a real good insight for me. And then I was fortunate enough to move to a small Australian startup, again based in London. I think it was employee number 7 or so, 6 or 7, no pun intended, in London, and that was for a user-generated content platform. And again, that was so software, small business, super agile, the total opposite of IBM. And it was a really fun place to work. You know, a little deal would go a long way within that business. So good recognition of like what you're doing, and you feel like you're doing good things for the customer. So that was really fun. And then after that, moved on to Hootsuite, which was again a social media company, more mature in its journey, so larger than obviously the user-generated content platform. I spent sort of a year and a half there, which again it was good to join at that point in time. So company was on a bit of a growth trajectory, and they were making some changes in the business, which was really good to see. It was good to see how that company was maturing. And then sort of latterly spent the last 7 years at LinkedIn. And I can hands down say that LinkedIn has been the best organization that I've worked for. In terms of the environment, the product, the people, it was just so beautifully set up. And the way I describe it is an enterprise organization, but with the real feel of a startup. So things are so agile. You know, you go to your boss, you need to get something done. It's like, yeah, okay, well, cool, we can do that. There's no convoluted sign-off process. So getting things done quickly, having customers that would always say, oh yeah, no, we love LinkedIn and we get it, we can do more with LinkedIn, was really validating. So it's a great place to be. Great place to be.
So then you went, I mean, amazing that you went from university to such a big company like IBM. Like that's very cool.
Yeah.
But then you sort of went to small company, big, small, medium, then massive again. So it's almost, and now you've gone startup. That's a pretty interesting journey.
So I would say that the move from corporate to startup was definitely intentional.
Right.
So, you know, I was evaluating my options at IBM, and it's like, do I go and work for another corporate, like the likes of an Oracle or one of their competitors?
Yeah.
But then at that point in time, at that age of my career, I was so intrigued to see, well, what is a startup like? What is a true startup organization like? I've got no baseline, no idea.
Yeah.
Now's the time in my career to do it. And if I don't like it, then I go back to corporate.
Yeah.
So it was a real sort of test, to be honest. And don't get me wrong, like it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows in a startup. It was, you know, hard graft. It was different. It's just a different way of working, but I just enjoyed the agility so much more within that type of organization.
Because your experience then, you've had that big corporate, you've had the startup, and now you've become a founder.
Yeah.
It feels like you've got that right mix of experience to be able to take all those different elements and go, okay, now I'm doing my own thing, and that's how I'm going to capture the best bits of all of those different experiences.
I would say so. I think the processes that some of these enterprise companies have really valuable, and it's how can I take the best parts of enterprise organizations with the agility of the small companies that I work for, and just pick the best of both, and then try and implement them in what we're doing, really. So I guess that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. So then how are you finding like Cobalt versus, previous experiences?
Yeah. So I think like main changes in terms of, I think there's two things on that side. There's a personal impact, and then there's the professional impact. So which one should we do first? Personal or professional? Either.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, let's do the personal impact first. Okay, so yeah, working for a company, you've got your salary, you've got your laptop, you've got all your software set up, you've got all your training done for you. You've got an office typically to work from. You've got expenses you can expense. So everything's laid on the table for you. Not to say that it's pampered. Well, yeah, you have sales kickoffs in Las Vegas and things like that, right? It's, all of these things are amazing. But one thing I don't think I really truly appreciated was how well set up you are as an employee within an organization. Like you've just got everything there. So the realization for me is coming out of that highly structured environment into, right, here you go, you're going to have to set everything up from scratch. Even get things like your software set up. we joke about it, but the accountancy stuff and, running expenses and receipts and stuff like that through our accountancy software, one, had no idea how to do it. And two, it is a bit of a chore if we're brutally honest about it. So things like that I never thought we'd have to do. And you realize how much time it takes to investigate, are they the right options for you? How to use them? What sort of software do you want to use? You've got to make choices around that and then start paying for them and so on and so forth. And, you look at the brands that we have and we generally get good feedback on the branding and how it's all sort of worked out. But again, that's something we've done ourselves and we've had to figure that out and be consistent. So that's been the biggest change, I would say. Just not going in every day, having a salary at the end of the month, that consistent salary, and having your commission on top every month, moving away from that to figure it out. That's been the biggest sort of change. And whilst that's daunting, at the same time, it's really exciting because you can make it your own. You pick and choose where the business goes. You pick and choose what you use. That's been the super sort of exciting part of it, I would say. So it kind of wraps up the professional and the personal bit in there as well, I would say. And the only thing I'd add to that is the learning piece. So I never, you have mandatory learnings to do at work. Typically people tick the boxes. Have you done this? Yeah, definitely done it. Tick. Right, you've done your annual training, whatever it is you need to do.
Yeah.
I sort of value the whole learning piece a lot more now. So I'm picking what we learn.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to learn as opposed to being mandated to learn. So the bits I'm learning, super valuable, really, really important. So now I've got a different lens in terms of learning and development. And I think if you're learning something because it's something you want to implement or do within your business, then the value is so much more to just ticking a box. But what about you?
Well, it's funny, what you say about the corporate environment. I was reading Mark Randolph's book about the start of Netflix, and he talks about the companies working at before Netflix and hearing these employees who was, they had the proper corporate environment. I think they were sat in a hot tub or something.
Right.
And he was obviously very senior at this previous company, and they were basically slagging off the company that they were working for. And he was like, how can these guys who are sat in a hot tub right now be, so dismissive of the company that they're working for? And what he talks about is how it's about the environment and the work feeling rewarding more than the perks and all the rest of it. And so, I've been in corporate for 20 years, like I said, so I've mostly really enjoyed it, but I resonate with pretty much everything that you said. Everything that we do is, we're at the front end. The things that we do have a direct impact on the business, which is the bit that I enjoy most, I think.
Yeah.
When you work at these big corporate companies, it is very rewarding. You do have all that security, but you're often part of a bigger team trying to turn a bigger ship around, and so sometimes you can feel like you are a bit of a cog in this machine, and you don't necessarily have that reward feel as direct as it could. And definitely the learning side of it, learned so much in the last 6 months that we've been doing this. We love the conversations that we have, the innovation that we can do. Lots of opportunities cross our desk now, and it's on us to decide whether that's something we want to move forward with or not. Which I find that really, that gives me a lot of energy.
That's exciting, isn't it?
Right.
Every day could just be something totally different.
Yeah.
An idea, we could be doing this, or we should be doing this. Why didn't we do that?
Yeah.
And then think, well, actually, we can look at it.
It's also the people we cross paths with, the entrepreneurs, speaking to the very biggest businesses who are trying to figure out the right path. Through to the people who are just starting out, selling a cool new product and seeing that passion that they have for that product. I find that that's really cool. Yeah, and that's another thing that's really positive. So loads of positives. But it's not it shouldn't always be glossed over that this is the easiest thing in the world to do. There's a lot of sacrifices you have to make to do it. I'd say lots of people say that they want to start a business.
Yeah.
But the reality of starting a business is, it's challenging. You have to have that risk appetite at a certain level. And so, I think you have to be very mindful of all the things that come with starting a business. There's lots of really good things, and there's lots of things that are challenging and stressful. And if you're ready for that, then it's a great thing to do.
So on that point, like, what would you say has been the most sort of challenging aspect of starting a business? Is there anything that like really stands out?
I mean, I felt really ready for it, and I didn't take it lightly what we were about to do, and so the stresses that have come, I haven't felt it in that way.
Yeah.
I don't think, and I think that's because it was a very purposeful decision. And I think for a lot of people right now who are in corporate and whatever, I think the days of climbing the corporate ladder are changing. AI is changing that landscape a lot. And so really thinking about what your value is outside of a corporate world is important, and having ideas about what it is that you might do and all the rest of it, and mentally preparing yourself for what that looks like has helped me anyway on this journey. And again, it's not to say that I don't feel stressed by this or that, but I know there's a longer term plan there. I know what the vision is for what we're doing. We have so many positive conversations. We're working with so many interesting people now, that I felt okay with it. I wouldn't say there's any, obviously, like the admin side of it and all the rest of it, you just have to get through that. You haven't got IT support anymore, so when your laptop breaks, like, figure it out.
You are IT support.
Yeah, you are IT support. Yeah, so just figure it out. But yeah, I wouldn't say there was anything. It's like, for me, it's always, how can we keep going? How can we keep innovating for our customers? How can we continue to take the business in an exciting direction? We're still very early as a business, but we've done a hell of a lot in 6 months.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to come, which, like, that outweighs the stresses.
Yeah.
What's exists today. What about you?
I would say, like, similar to you, I think the fact that, it wasn't a decision taken lightly to leave corporate and start a business. And we'd been speaking for months in the lead up to, actually doing something. Just thinking about ideas and what could we do and so on and so forth. So that kind of pre-prepared me for what was to come. So when we took that leap, it wasn't, oh no, like a massive shock. It was, I've already thought about that and how that might impact me. Yeah. I think if I'm being brutally honest and upfront, it is, you realize how well recognized you are in a sales role, financially remunerated, and leaving that to go to effectively, nothing when you start business. Don't cry for me or anything like that, but that's a tough mindset to get your head around, And I've been fortunate enough to go on holiday every year, and you go shopping and you put things in your basket. You don't really think twice about doing it, and you live a certain lifestyle. And I think there's a bit of taking that for granted, when you are in those types of roles. So I'd say that's probably been sort of the hardest bit to navigate day one. But I know, as we're growing and as we're bringing on new customers and so on and so forth, it's a short-term, hit to grow something, further down the line. So it's making that sacrifice. And actually, I would say it's made me more appreciative and grateful for what I have. Yeah. It's made me reflect and look back and be like, actually, do you know what? I've got, not financially, but I've got lots of good things going on here that otherwise I might not have looked at. Family, all those types of things. House is all great. And it's made me look at the world in a slightly different way, I'd say. Yeah. So I'd say that's been the hard. And that's being brutally transparent with that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I do get it. There's a lot of sacrifices.
Yeah.
Up front. But I think it's the exciting stuff, I think, outweighs some of the bits that
Yeah.
And I think if you're ready for that, I think that's the bit about, like, if you're ready for that, I think it's all risk appetite.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're going to have to make some sacrifices for building something. But that's what I enjoy. Like, I enjoy building things. That's what I've realized. And I think really thinking about if you're going to go on this journey, like, what excites you, what gets you up in the morning when you go to work. For me, it's building things, it's scrappy things. It's like, how do you take something and fix it and make it into something that scales? Like, all of that is stuff that really excites me. And this is the epitome of that. We can go in any direction with the business, and we're already heading in some exciting places now. So why don't you talk about LinkedIn?
LinkedIn.
Yeah, why don't we get in the specifics of what you do for Cobalt, why companies should be interested in LinkedIn.
Okay, So from a LinkedIn perspective, we would go in and help an organization effectively use LinkedIn better. So LinkedIn, it's a really powerful platform. There's plenty of opportunity on LinkedIn for businesses, but the reality is very few businesses would actually maximize what they do on LinkedIn. And this is everything from how their employees turn up on linkedin.com, how their profiles are established, how active they are in terms of brand messaging, building awareness of the organization they work for, things like employer branding, helping influence talent into the organizations. All those things are done, I'd say, in a hit and miss way in most organizations. And then you look at the companies who are invested in LinkedIn, so those who have actually got subscriptions and licenses, etc. Again, and this is from my own personal experience, you see people spending a substantial sum of their budget on recruitment solutions, sales navigator licenses, etc. Again, are they really maximizing what they're doing with those licenses? And in my view, again, it's hit and miss. There are pockets of good usage, and there are people who have a license and just don't use it. So herein lies the opportunity where we aim to sort of go in, look at what people are doing with LinkedIn, help them optimize if they already have licenses, or if they don't, advise on what they should be doing. And then looking at just normal LinkedIn.com, like what do people want to achieve through LinkedIn from a business lens, right? Because there's so much there, and LinkedIn can fit into so many facets of a business to help them. And it's really just about helping them identify, well, what aren't you doing? What would you like to do? And then here is potentially how we can help you on that journey. So that's kind of what we do. And we're bringing experience from LinkedIn.com, the recruiter platform, and Sales Navigator into the mix to clients.
And when people get it right, what are the outcomes that they tend to see?
Yeah, good question. So I'll say when people do it right, I'll give you one example for each product line. So for LinkedIn.com, if your employees are turning up and they're advocating on behalf of the brand and it's authentic, it's not forced, that's resonating with their network, and then that's helping influence potential future employees to that organization. So you think about who your employees are connected to, probably like-minded people, like similar sort of career stages, etc. That message then resonates out, and it's coming from an individual, not a brand. Every brand is always going to say they have the best work setup, they offer the best flexibility or benefits or work-life balance or what it is, because no one's going to say, oh yeah, we're average, why don't you come and join our company? Do you know what I mean? Like, being a bit flippant there. So from that perspective, it helps from employer brands and influencing talent into organizations. I would say with things like Sales Navigator, so many people are looking for opportunities to grow their pipeline or drive their deals quicker to sale. And again, people are sort of not really using Sales Navigator in its optimum way to generate opportunities or even help close opportunities. So I'd say there's a bit of a lack of understanding as to when Sales Navigator should be used in the sales cycle. Right. And there are different, a lot of people just say, we want leads, we just want to send loads of emails and generate loads of leads. And the reality is LinkedIn doesn't work like that. Because if it did, then everybody would be doing it. So there are different ways to use it. Yeah. And then from the recruiter side, it's, if you're using LinkedIn's recruiter platform successfully, particularly for senior level roles, you can avoid agency fees for hires, right? And agency fees for hires are typically far outweigh the cost of a license for LinkedIn. So there's a bit of a cost avoidance exercise you can do there. So those are sort of 3 fractal examples.
And what do you see companies not getting right?
So I would say, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning about when you work for a corporate, you have all your software given to you, your laptop, etc. If you're in a sales role, you typically have your laptop, you'll be given a Sales Navigator license. But how invested are you as an individual in using that Sales Navigator license? Some people are like, yeah, love it, totally get how to use it. It's part of my workflow. I use it every day. And others are like, oh, I just sent 10 emails today and maybe I'll log into it next week and see what I've got on. Right. It's the inconsistency of usage. That's where people get it wrong.
Right.
And those that do use it typically do see good results. There are those that use it but aren't seeing good results because maybe they're not optimizing how they're using it. And there are those that have a license and log in once a week. And in effect, that's a waste of a license.
I think we've covered this in other podcasts. Obviously, AI and LinkedIn is everywhere.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on that?
Well, you might have seen a comment that I dropped this morning in someone's post, which was AI related. It's just, and for context on that, the post had alluded to time saving in hours, and it was detailed out like 7 plus 10 plus something else, and the sum was wrong. The sum was just wrong. So herein lies my challenge with AI. Is everyone's looking for a silver bullet. The reality is people can generally tell when someone has used AI on LinkedIn, and so people are starting to tune out that message. When you see carbon copies of post formats from everyone on LinkedIn.com, you start to question, well, why does every single post look the same? Everyone sounds the same, and therefore people start to tune out. So that's my first sort of challenge with it. The second part goes back to my first point, is AI gets stuff wrong, and AI is someone else's voice, not your voice. You speak in a certain way, you have certain vocabulary you use, you have a certain tone. That should be how you represent yourself. It's a person behind the profile, not a computer at the end of the day. And then the other side on AI on LinkedIn is, there are a lot of third-party applications which integrate or claim to integrate with LinkedIn, and typically LinkedIn doesn't like integrations with its platform. There are restrictions on what people can and can't do in terms of integrating software with LinkedIn. If LinkedIn starts to see their platform getting scraped, that's a big no-no. So they'll put a big stop to that. So there are some barriers around, well, how do you navigate integrating a platform with LinkedIn so you don't get yourself blocked or restricted, your account restricted. So it's a bit of a delicate path to tread, I would say. And look, I see some people using it, and I see others steering away from it. I'm more on the use AI for ideation. If you're struggling with ideas for content, use it to come up with some ideas, but write it yourself. Write it in your own voice. Don't just copy and paste, because it's not from you. But if you're stuck for ideas, that's a good place to start.
Yeah, I guess the risk as well is that I feel is that everyone starts to sound the same. You see these sort of patterns of how text is laid out, and like you said, then the engagement is not, for me anyway, I sort of tend to skip past it. I'm like, okay, that's an AI post. So like how you bring that authenticity and cut through the noise feels really important.
Yeah, 100%. And it goes back to, you talk about opportunity creation and trying to get your foot through the door with customers from a sales perspective. You kind of want to know you're dealing with a real person. Let's say you're selling a huge enterprise platform, or a significant price tag. You want to know there's some people behind there that you can contact, you can speak to, you can have a conversation with.
Yeah.
And that authenticity comes from part of that sales process in terms of opening up the door, right? If it's coming from a real person, you're already building that rapport and relationship from day one.
Yeah. And so you obviously really enjoyed your time at LinkedIn, taking all these skills out.
Yeah.
Would you work for them again?
Yeah, so this came up before. So I think my answer stays the same. So right now, no. I mean, absolutely not. I feel like we are having some real good success with the business, particularly as we come up to the 6-month period. I'm really enjoying I think flexibility is the wrong word, but the ability to, when we're doing work, it's work that we're choosing to do. So it's not, mandated stuff that we have to tick a box to do. It's, we want to do it because we want to do it, because there's an outcome. So doing things like that are super exciting. And, there is stuff we have in the pipeline next year, which is exciting. Potential international visits to other countries for business as well. And that's so exciting. I never thought I'd be doing that. So right now, absolutely not. If Cobalt wasn't to work out for whatever reason, would I go back? I don't know. Do you know what? I think having done 7 years at an organization, to go back to a company would never be how you imagined it from day one. And I think that's what my expectations would be, that it'll be this amazing organization that I joined 7 years ago at that point in time, huge growth, great product. That was it. And that still goes on, but I think the expectations wouldn't match your reality. So no would be the answer.
Okay. And then for people listening to this who are like, okay, we need to get better at LinkedIn. And I think a lot of companies probably feel like they need to get better at doing it, but probably don't quite know how. Like, what are, 3 tips that you could give to somebody watching this right now, listening to this, that they can take away and go and implement in their business?
Yeah, 3 tips. Okay, so I would say, think about how your employees turn up on LinkedIn every day. So, LinkedIn, it's a free to use platform. It's there. It's an asset that you could be leveraging for your business, building your personal brand, building the awareness. People just aren't doing it. They'll log in, update their profile once in a blue moon, and it stays static. But think of how much you achieve within a year that could be reflected on your profile, and not from a CV perspective, but just to highlight your credibility and your experience, right? So I think about your profiles, think about your employees and how they turn up. I think the other part is, make sure your employees are bought into the idea of why they should be on LinkedIn. Don't mandate things for them to do. Get them bought into the process. We are doing X because the result is going to be Y, and Z is the benefit for you. Don't mandate and don't dictate. And then the other side on LinkedIn, what should people be doing? So I would say there's an opportunity for people to be more proactive on the platform. Think of how many times you scroll through LinkedIn every day, you see some content, but you just don't interact with it. You digest it, you read it, you take it on. There's no engagement. So not even dropping a like or something like that. And the next stage from that is a comment, which is valuable to the conversation. Not just a comment for like, great post, mate, well done. No, it's sort of like, well, what in that post was great? Build that out. So there's the other opportunity, I would say, or advice I would give to people. And the rationale for that is, again, building awareness of the person, the brands, the company they work for, and so on. So those are 3 sort of quick tips, I would say.
Good. That sounds very helpful.
I'm going to flip it back to you now. So Amazon. So talk to us a bit.
Ask me what 20 tips I had for LinkedIn.
Well, I could ask you that as well. well, maybe we'll do that at the end.
Yeah.
But from an Amazon perspective, so obviously you were there for 10 years, so country management lead for sort of Ireland. So how, coming out of Amazon and seeing it from an external perspective, what have been the biggest eye openers for you?
It's a good question. There's a hell of a lot of knowledge of Amazon outside of Amazon. And I felt like I knew that while I was there, but I think people are at a level now where there's a lot of people who work outside of Amazon who know more than people that are inside Amazon. Like, what people are focused on inside Amazon is like, how do you continue to scale this business? How do you continue to make it a day one business that, you talk about the agility of LinkedIn, like that's similar to what Amazon want to keep creating. But what you're not focused on honestly is how businesses succeed on Amazon. And that is a whole different skill set. And so some of the people that we talk to, some of our associates, some of the companies that we deal with, their level of expertise is not always, but in some cases, really, really high. And I think that's probably been a bit of a surprise. I think another surprise is, and again, probably people watching this will think, well, why is that a surprise? But I think the pace of getting things done from the outside in is not great. It's not great. It can be very difficult to deal with Amazon if you're not a bigger company dealing with them. And so I think that's an area that Amazon has to figure out, whether that's through AI or whatever, because there'll be other competitors come in the market that will do it differently and do it better. And so I feel that frustration on the behalf of sellers and vendors. I think, if you ask sellers about things like seller support, they will tell you that it's a waste of time, which I think is pretty damning for a company like Amazon. Certainly when I was there, we used to talk about vendors and sellers as sort of part of customers. But I think that that definitely doesn't feel like it from the outside in. I do think customer is absolutely king at Amazon, which, is what it's founded on. Like, I think customers are generally pretty happy with the service that they get from Amazon.
Yeah.
But I think from a vendor seller perspective, it can be quite different. Don't get me wrong. Again, not everyone. I'm speaking in more sort of generalities here, but certainly smaller companies, certainly companies that perhaps don't have the sway with Amazon or don't have the technical expertise to deal with Amazon, can come unstuck. And we've seen that with some of the clients that we've been speaking to.
Yeah. And do you think that's a learning opportunity for Amazon? Like from seeing it on the outside to seeing the challenges that businesses face, which aren't always fully understood when you work on the inside. Do you think that's an opportunity for Amazon to be like, oh, hang on a minute, let's have some more awareness of what is actually going on from an external perspective, rather than just I get it, they're focused on growth and that is everything that drives the business and it's the data that tells the story. But do you think there's an opportunity for them to maybe take a bit more of a backseat and reflect on things from the outside?
I think Amazon invests in vendor and seller experience. I just don't think it's landing.
Okay.
Like, when Amazon wants to do something, it does something. Again, I've got a positive, you talked before about getting decisions done quickly. Amazon operates in that way, and I really enjoyed that part of it. And so the fact that vendor and seller experience isn't quite there, I think it's more of a strategic thing than, don't get me wrong, it's not me saying Amazon are trying to make it deliberately difficult. I just think on the list of things that Amazon is investing in, it's obviously not top priority. Now, in saying that, with the involvement of AI, I think that's probably the answer that Amazon is thinking will come and help. But AI brings new challenges. There's obviously the accuracy of AI, is what you were just saying before, but also I think there's a big trust element there as well. If you're a business operating on Amazon, you're concerned with how your business performs on Amazon. If you're being given advice by an AI agent from Amazon, you have to understand what the motive of that agent is. And be able to trust it and see that work and whatever, because lots of companies will tell you that, Amazon optimizes for Amazon and Amazon customers, which is great for the overall, but sometimes at a micro level that doesn't necessarily work out.
Yeah. And then do you think, if you look at other players in the market now, so other channels like, TikTok Shop, JD.com and so on, how do you see Amazon maintaining its position with, all these other marketplaces sort of emerging and arguably gaining quite a lot more sort of popularity in terms of how they operate?
Yeah, I think the first thing to say is Amazon's not going anywhere. It's so customer centric, and I've lived that. I've seen, we did one of these with Jamie before, and he talked about like the pricing logic like that. The pricing thing for me at Amazon was the thing that stood out most.
Yeah.
When I first joined. Like obviously there's the leadership principles and da da da. I remember being at other companies, you'd have leadership principles or like tenets that you work towards, and you never spoke about them until it came to an end of year review.
Yeah.
At Amazon, they lived, they breathed. And the examples of seeing this where we would take pricing decisions that would be eye-watering in terms of the amount of money you would lose, dropping, and this is not a real example, but like an iPhone by 50% because somebody else in the market has put that iPhone, and because you need to build, it's always said, right, like customer trust is hard won but easily lost. And that was definitely the mantra. And I know that belief, that way of working still exists at Amazon. And so Amazon will not go anywhere, nor should it. Like, I'm an Amazon customer, I use it all the time, I'm sure you do as well. Delivery is great, the pricing is going to be where you want it to be, you'll be able to find pretty much anything on there that you need. And so like that's the starting point. But are there challenges coming into the market? Yeah, absolutely. And I think Amazon is more than aware. You've seen Temu and Shein come over the last few years and just gain share out of nothing with this real low ASP type offering, which honestly I think Amazon reacted with Amazon Haul now that's launched, and that's their sort of play into a younger, a different market,
right?
Much more deal orientated. The experience on Amazon Haul is so different to what you see on the main Amazon experience. So I think those guys are coming. I think social commerce clearly coming in, TikTok growth.
Yeah.
TikTok shop growth over the last few years, 100% growth, I think last year, 400% the year before. So that is absolutely coming and really interesting. And for lots of businesses, Amazon included, trying to interpret that and compete with it, maximize it, etc. it's a whole nother world. Obviously, we've got Ricky and Onike who are ex TikTok, and every time I have a conversation with them, I'm just like, wow.
That stuff sort of blows my mind as well. So when I sort of hear into it, how different the experience is for the consumer, like from a shopping perspective, and how decisions are made on TikTok versus how decisions are made on Amazon just seems like it's two worlds apart almost.
Yeah, I mean, the stat that I read the other day, and maybe this has changed now, was that like 65% of Gen Z now start their product shopping journey, product research on TikTok. Which, being old, like when I look at TikTok, I'm like, I don't know how you get to a product from this, but clearly people do. That's just us being old. And probably, when I first started working at Amazon 10 years ago, a lot of the bigger brands went on there. And I think people probably felt a little bit like that about Amazon at the time, was like, what is this thing? Like, what, why don't I just go to like Argos, or why don't I just drive out to the shop, or it takes however long to deliver. Like, how are they going to deliver it? What will that look like? Will it get lost? What happens if it gets lost? What's like all of these questions now that have been answered on Amazon? I think TikTok is in that sort of very early stage, but super exciting, so different, such a different way of shopping. And then I think the third thing is, again, just AI, agentic AI, agentic shopping experiences. I don't know how that plays out. I don't think anybody really does. I think there's a lot of educated guesses in the space, but clearly will change how people shop for product, and clearly will change how Amazon has to think about its own operation. They've obviously got Rufus now in place. Not 100% sure what the uptake on that is. I think, predominantly still is mostly going through the usual search routes. But yeah, that again will change the face of it. Like, how do you... There's lots of discussions about how you optimize your content on Amazon for AI, and how advertising will work with AI. If it's sort of trying to help you, does it also have a bias towards sponsored products? Lots going on in that space. And, not just on the Amazon side, more broadly, AI will move traffic away from Amazon in the future, I'm sure. Like lots for Amazon to think about there, but the headline would be that I don't see Amazon going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah. I think AI might feed into this next question, but around, considerations for businesses, like going into, the next year and so on and so forth. What like 3 areas do you think businesses should be looking at or investigating or maybe optimizing for going into next year?
I'll probably keep. I mean, AI. I think you should just be thinking about AI anywhere, regardless of Amazon or what. You should just be thinking about how AI will have an influence on your business and what you need to do about it. For Amazon specifically, how it will influence content and search. And I don't think you need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You just need to think logically about how AI surfaces products, what questions it asks, what kind of language it likes when you're doing your content. You also need to think about keywords because people won't just transition from one to the other. So you need to strike that balance. But 3 areas, I see a lot of wasted ad spend.
Okay.
I think utilizing tools like DSP and AMC are going to become more and more important. Businesses are obviously feeling the pinch. So profitability is as important as it ever has been. All companies invest a lot on ads on Amazon. It is pay to play. So really having an ad strategy, thinking about the software that you might use, thinking about the people you might bring into the business or work with. This isn't a plug, but it probably sounds like a plug. It's such a specialized world, and you can lose a lot of money in ads.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, I've seen it myself, there's a lot of people throwing money at ads that, it doesn't always work for them. And so the tools are there, AMC, DSP, as I said, various softwares that can help you run ads. I personally think it's really worth getting in the detail of making sure you understand the metrics and what they're telling you and what they're doing to your bottom line, because, companies are spending 10, 15, 20%, whatever of revenue on advertising. That's a huge part of your P&L. And so that'd be the first thing. I think the second thing, I have a supply chain background, so I'll always sort of veer, I think, in that direction, but really understanding what's going on in your supply chain, again, with the sort of cost profitability element. I hear a lot people saying, Amazon's a necessary evil, right? Like there's a lot of charges and there's lots of this and that and the other, which I do understand the perspective, but I think you have to challenge yourself a bit more than that. Amazon is not this big bad guy that you just have to deal with and will just screw you over. Like that's not what Amazon is there to do. In fact, I think Amazon has opened up a lot of opportunities for businesses that didn't exist before Amazon. So like the barrier to entry now online is so different to what it used to be. You set your product up now and do it in the next 2 hours and you'll be online. However, operationally, there can be challenges. They do things differently. They're not Tesco, they're not whoever. And so really being in the detail of what you're seeing from Amazon, like where are the pinch points? If you're getting shortages, if you're getting chargebacks, if you're getting, FBA fees coming through, why? Like, where is that coming from? What are the things that we are doing that is creating that position for us, rather than going, it's just Amazon.
Yeah.
This is the cost of doing business with Amazon. I think that's the wrong mental model.
Do you think a lot of businesses sort of miss that and just take it as this is just one of the complications of working with Amazon because they don't fully understand what's going on?
Yeah, I hear it more often than I thought I would.
Right.
That it's just the cost of doing business with Amazon. And I think that's a missed opportunity. But again, it's not easy. You have to have the right people in place and so on and so forth, which brings me on to my third point of like the opportunity for Amazon, or the ongoing opportunity, is making sure you have the right people in place to manage Amazon.
Right.
It's not something that somebody's doing 3 or 4 other things in your business can necessarily do on their own. It's a big beast. It's complicated. It changes. How do you keep abreast of it? We just talked about ads is point one. Are they an ad specialist? Do they have the software to be able to do that, et cetera, et cetera? So having a team, whatever it is, that is focused, dedicated to Amazon, I think is really important if you can afford to do that. And then tied to that is having a P&L.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really like, I will say I don't think Amazon makes this particularly easy for businesses, but having an Amazon specific P&L that you can interrogate, that you can get line level data from, have to have it.
Yeah.
Have to have it. Otherwise, there's too many leaky buckets in the Amazon business that you'll lose track of.
Yeah. Plenty of opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the other thing is that, they're reducing FBA fees. This is, again, where you need people, but like FBA fees now, I think maybe they've been reduced now or it's next month. But that's on delivery fees.
Right.
So actually on like inventory fees, they're going up. So there's going to be a bit of an offset. So if you're holding inventory that's not moving, then you'll see an increase in costs.
Yeah.
However, if you're very slick and actually you're not holding much cover in FBA, and you're able to ship things out quickly, then you'll see a reduction. And then it's okay. Well, if you're in that position, which, hopefully lots of people watching this are, I mean, that's a benefit to the P&L. And then it's like, what do you do with that benefit? Where are you going to invest that money? Like, does it go back into the top of the funnel, and do you start doing advertising? Do you start doing TikTok? I don't know. But I think if you can realize that, that's a big opportunity to reinvest and continue to grow and continue to keep momentum, because that is the key thing, I think, on Amazon, is having momentum, having things in stock, having things selling. Search likes that, your products will surface, the flywheel spins, so it's critical to make sure you're doing that.
Yeah. Nice.
Very good.
Wrap up.
Before we do, we've done 4 podcasts, lots of Meet the Team.
Oh, yes.
Any standout moments?
Yeah, good question. I would say each of them have elements that I've really enjoyed. I would say, the first one we did with John was the first one. It was, the birth of the podcast. So it's always going to have a certain element to it. I'll probably look back on that now and feel like, it's really wooden and not as free flowing as the other ones have been. But good opportunity to learn a bit more about supply chain and circular economy. I thought that was quite interesting, like, to tease that out with John and hear his experience. I think the BL podcast was a real eye opener from where he started as an individual to where he is now is almost mind blowing. And I just feel you can learn so much more from what he's been through, what his experiences are, and how successful he is now as a entrepreneur, as a author. He's sort of everywhere. So that was great. And then the podcast with Jamie, I think, just you saw Uber at a snapshot in time when they were facing some real tough elements of what they were going through, like the whole losing their license with TfL.
Yeah.
But then Jamie's perspective on this was actually what was going on behind the scenes was insane. And just understanding how people deal with that level of pressure and being the front voice for a company that is going through unbelievable changes and internal politics and policies that aren't, necessarily up to scratch.
Yeah.
Like being a front face for that at that time, because obviously you don't see those internal bits, just to learn about what was going on and, the organisation that Uber was at that time, amazing.
Yeah. They've just released, there's an ITV series come out all behind the scenes of Uber.
Oh, really?
Advertised.
Okay. Well, again, maybe the pre-watch for that is to watch episode 3 of the podcast, right? Because there's quite a lot in there. And I like the way that Jamie was like almost like no holds barred, really. He was just like, everything I'm telling you is in the public domain, and very open and upfront. And then obviously the one with Alicia, she's LinkedIn, I'm LinkedIn. Yeah. There's always going to be a level of conversation to go on there, but I like the way she put me under the thumb quite a few times and turned the tables back on me. So all really enjoyable for different reasons. But yeah, what about you?
Yeah, similar. Like, I feel like they were all very sort of topical. I felt like they fit into whatever was going on at the time. So I found them all really interesting. Like John's, I think, building out his career, building out longevity in a career, pivoting, knowing how to pivot. I thought that was good. And interesting. Biao's, obviously, the whole tariff situation and the relationship with the US. I found that really insightful. I mean, Jamie's obviously with his Amazon background, it was easier for me to resonate with a lot of what he was saying. And obviously, I worked with Jamie for a period of time, so I could remember some of the things that he was talking about.
Yeah.
But the Uber side of it, obviously, really interesting. I like the breadth in his career. I think just the way he thinks about his next opportunity and like hopping on to the next growth avenue, like I found that really interesting.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, Alicia was like, it was a learning experience for me. I really enjoyed you two just sort of bouncing off each other. And she's very direct, very open.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that she said was super interesting. Like, I can see why she's got so many followers on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she was great, yeah. And I mean, we don't pay any of these guys to come on.
No.
We take them to lunch. So if people want to get a free lunch and have a story to tell, like, do get in touch. Yeah, we're open to do more of these. So yeah, we should say thank you to everyone that's been on the podcast so far, because it's been good, really good. Like, I'm looking forward to series 2. We've already got a couple of guests lined up, which I think will be exciting for folks.
Yeah. I think, do you think about questions you get asked about the podcast? This is sort of going for the tangent, but we always get asked, or I always get asked, where do you film the podcast?
Yeah.
And people are quite surprised. So, I think this might be a useful bit of information if you've watched the other podcasts, but we film it on 2 iPhones on stands, a microphone which you can see under the table, and at one of our friends' sort of units that they have studio. So maybe we'll take a couple of behind the scenes pictures and post them up as well, so you can see sort of where we're filming at.
Yeah. Ultra Sharp.
Ultra Sharp is the company. We'll tag them in as well, so you can see. But yeah, and their YouTube channel is a different level, isn't it? From the content wise. So yeah, we'll tag them in. Any final thoughts?
No.
From you?
Looking forward to 2026.
Yeah. Hopefully
6 months.
we'll do another wrap up in 6 months and shorts and t-shirts hopefully, and see where we're at.
Yeah. Right. All right.
Cool. Good. So that was the end of season 1, so episode 5 of the Deep Blue podcast. Bit of a behind the scenes from myself and Andrew into our journey at Cobalt in the last 6 months. Our experiences today, what we found challenging, what we found interesting. Hope you found that useful and inspiring as well. And we look forward to seeing you all in the new year on the next season of the podcast. And until then, take care.